of the time. I don't know for what reason. I don't know for what reason. Yes, we'll keep on keeping on. We keep on keeping on. Let it not be the case of the newly elected Edo State governor that could not pronounce the figures and all that. But the bottom line is we are just where we are. But let's hope this time around there's light at the end of the tunnel. That's all I can say about that.
Well, let's hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's a figure I would want you to react to very quickly, Barrister. Now, here on the front cover of the Punch newspaper, it says that the budget had jumped. Well, not on the Punch. Now, let's take a look at another figure concerning the 2025 appropriation bill, perhaps on the front cover of the Blueprint newspaper. Yes, the 2025 appropriation bill has jumped from 27.5 trillion naira in 2024 to 47.9 trillion naira in 2025. Now, this is about a 20.4 trillion naira increment in the appropriation bill in just 1 year. It's quite a very huge figure, don't you think so?
Yeah, it's quite huge. It's quite huge. But you have to take into cognizance the rate of inflation and the rest of them in the country. Um, that actually tells you a lot about the why the figure is leaping the way it is. Um, I wouldn't know for what reason um, this is happening, but all I can say is the bottom line should be sincerity of purpose. So many things that are put into place to cushion this inflationary rate have received all sort of analysis. Government is beefing up assurances that it will be huru in no time, that things are going to be brought to control in no time, that all the policies will be yielding fruit, probably sometime in the course of the year 2025 and all that. The inflationary rate is quite telling. It is quite telling. I wouldn't know at this point what the solutions are from the government coffers. And that's all I can say. But it tells a lot about the leap in this budget. In these budget figures, it tells quite a lot about that. Why I wouldn't delve so deep into it is budget is budget. Government have their reasons in inflating these figures to cushion the realities of the times and all that. But let's just hope everything is intended well.
Well, let's hope that everything is in there well. We can't really say much about this except the budget has been transmitted to the National Assembly. Now the president has ordered, some final adjustments to it. It's not yet made public, but hopefully by the time it is made public, come tomorrow, we will be able to dissect some of this, pertinent issues within the budget and perhaps find a way to profile solutions to them. But however, Barrister, if you are still with me, a final take on the 2025 budget before we move on to issues of security. Uh, there is a story here that FEC has earmarked 161 million euros for procurement and upgrade of our power substations in the country. Now, this is off the back of recent frequent power grid collapses in the nation, which the count has gotten up to 12, and is expected that yet another one might happen before the year rounds up. And also, the budget proposal presentation to take place tomorrow. Now, this is also as deficit has hit 13.13 trillion naira in the 2025 budget. Firstly, I want you to react to the 161 million euros earmarked for, an upgrade of the power station within the budget. Do you think this is perhaps a viable and a more sustainable means of ensuring that we don't have any more power grid collapses in the country and our electricity situation is stabilized?
Anyway, power problem in Nigeria is quite a recurrent decimal. I don't know what solutions they are bringing to the table to give it a final touch or give it a sustainable touch. I wouldn't know how they want to do it. But all I know that is going to be a capital project to do something that would last and stand the test of time. Power disruptions here and there, the grid collapses, which Nigerians have been told so many times. Every time that is what you see in the news, actually. And I keep saying, until something sustainable is done, this particular issue would continue to recur. But then the questions in the mind, in the mouth of Nigerians most of the time is, why is this grid collapsing every now and then? What is happening? Is it that something cannot be done? Yes, of course, huge amount of money is allocated to it. Nigerians still need to ask questions. Is it justifiable? Is this something that would receive a final touch, considering the huge amount of money that is going to be placed on the table for that? These are questions looking us in the face. But my take this morning is that we just, as far as power is concerned, maybe we give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens. Let's see if the formidable solution that Nigerians are looking for would come by and all that. In as much as it looks colossal, it looks humongous. Um, Probably what is at the other side is accountability. How is the money going to be put into fruition to make sure the target solution is met? How we will be there. And of course, you know that we have this history of accountability in Nigeria, accountability deficit, accountability deficiency in governance. That is why a whole lot of things receive question mark here and there. It's actually something we can no longer contend with and all that. But um, let's see how it goes, is all I can say. We have been on this a whole lot of times. We have spoken so much about it and all that. The power is fundamental. I've said it in previous analysis. Until we get it right on power, everything we are doing on economic revamp, economic rejig, whatever thing we are bringing to beef up, whether it's gross domestic product, whether it is anything economical in Nigeria, anything that we're going to do to make the country work, power is fundamental. In other countries of the world, you would see that this is quite. And again, Nigeria brings the lead. That Nigeria brings actually the rear, not even the lead in the Committee of Nations in Africa. We do not have to go outside Africa to place this scorecard on the table. The least countries in Africa have overcome power problems. Nigeria is still there. In fact, it has not even improved. It has not even improved beyond the barest minimum that is permissible in terms of power generation. We
Not
have
not
not even
not
crossed
not
it.
not
So
not
it's a
not to
very
de-
big problem.
not to
Yes.
deviate too much from the budget proposal itself that we will be expecting to be seen at the National Assembly tomorrow. Just your final take on the 13.13 trillion naira deficit in the 2025 budget, in contrast to the 4 trillion naira deficit in the 2024 budget. Now, I know that you have mentioned that the figures are quite humongous, and in terms of difference, there is a very sheer difference, more than 20 trillion naira difference from the 2024 budget and the 2025 appropriation bill. In layman's terms, for people watching us now who might not really understand the intricacies of these deficits and the figures being called, how much of a difference is this, and how attainable is this? Are these figures for us?
Anyway, it tells us how spending is increasing in governance. That's what it tells us. I wouldn't want to go the angle of probably padding and the rest of them. Let's hope everything is okay by the end of the day. But just like I said, maybe like all the promises being made by the government, maybe we should give it the benefit of the doubt. That's what I can say now. It looks as if all is not well. We had always said that all is not well about budgeting and all that, expenditure, governance, cost of governance, and the rest of them. Um, in the course of time, what I tell Nigerians is, well, let's task the government for accountability. They have the experts around them. we had always said that all is not well. But it's to me, I really would say maybe we'll give the government the benefit of the doubt. Of course, when you look on the face of it, you would see that what we are talking about subsists. Our fears in governance subsist. Because we look at the figure, you definitely know that, of course, even from the micro perspective, if you're running a home and your expenditure keep increasing, you would definitely know that there are things you're not getting right.
Well, let's hope that the 2025 budget comes to the National Assembly well transmitted, and fingers crossed. We'll take a look at what happens next tomorrow. Away from that topic to the issue of one of the biggest single busts made by the Economic Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) yesterday in Lagos, where it says that it had nabbed 792 crypto fraudsters in Lagos. Now, this is alongside romance scammers as well. Now, of this 792, there are Chinese nationals, Filipinos, and other nationals alongside Nigerians as well. As funny as it might seem, now this is a very big issue. Almost 1,000 people being arrested in a single day for internet fraud. As a security expert, how much of a big security threat is this for us as Nigerians? How much of a threat does this pose?
The threat is quite huge. The threat is quite huge. In fact, the signal is not looking so interesting, actually. And of course, you would know that in a time like this, people look the other way to see how they can eke out living. You see how they can raise their head. Let me not even go the angle of maybe greed, avarice, kleptomania, and the rest of them. But fundamentally, you would know that people still seek ways to cushion the reality, the harsh realities of the time, the harsh government policies and all that. I'm just in the immediate looking at it from that angle. But that does not shoulder, that does not showcase any form of justification for crime or anything. But we would still know that things are not really the way they should be in the country at the moment. Criminology, sociologically speaking, when crime is receiving such a spike, the indicator is that a lot of people are trying to raise their head and all that. And of course, if you bring the culprits and ask them the reason they are indulging in such nefarious acts, they will tell you they have so much to do. They couldn't even meet their basic needs and all that. So that is one point. That is one indicator. And the second one is the implementation of law is not really going well the way it should go and all that. EFCC being in the saddle every time is not. I don't know. To me, anyway, depending on the amount of money involved, police should be in the saddle too, and other security agencies. I had always, in one of my treatises, I'd said all the security agencies should be hands on deck in terms of crime investigation, in terms of catching the thieves, arresting the culprits, and all that. It shouldn't be the biggest anti-graft agency in the country going into even the domestic matters and all that. So it should be all encompassing. And there should be clear division of labor on who does this and who does that. That's what it should be. But it's not really it's looking grotesque, actually. The scale of scam, the scale of criminality in the country, it gives the country very bad names out there. I've seen the report in the news. Is it Kemi? I've forgotten
Kemi
her
Badnoch,
surname.
the
Yeah,
leader of the opposition in the UK.
yes, in the UK and all that. The statement she made about Nigerian police that is actually keeping the media agog and all that. I know it was not quite good the way she put in that statement, but you would still know from the way she spoke that it was a bit impulsive, good and fine. But then that doesn't take away the fact that a whole lot of things are happening in the country. It doesn't take away the fact that things in terms of sanity in the country is not what it should be. So many things are happening. So that is just what it is. We need to actually progress beyond where we are in Nigeria.
Now,
And
now,
again,
now,
the
now
economic indicator.
Barrister, some experts have cited that weak systems within our security, cyber security, system is the cause for this huge cybercrime syndicates currently going on the ground in the country. Now, with almost 1,000 people involved in such a huge crime within Lagos, and I believe this is not something that started off just recently. It must have been going on for quite some time, and the EFCC was only lucky enough to have busted them at the time they did. How much other or how many other syndicates like this do you think could possibly be also operating within the country? And in terms of the weak systems, how do we address the weak cyber security systems that we have in the nation at the moment?
And that's why I say the law is there. We have the Cybercrime Act, if I'm not mistaken. We have other laws. We have the Criminal Code. We have different legislations. It's just implementation. It's just putting the whole hands on deck. Like I said, the police should be in the saddle, the EFCC, other security agencies, and all that. And again, crime prosecution. There should be special prosecutorial agencies that are set up. Pseudo prosecutorial agencies. This is what happens in other crimes when certain criminalities are pervading the polity. We should bring up things, innovations to cushion it in a very fast way. It's just the way we talk about terrorism. There should be even special courts to try people that are, of course, you see the rate of cybercrime in the country, the menace of Yahoo Yahoo and the rest of them. It has been there. This is not the first time. This is not the starting point. It has pervaded the policy. It has been there, and it's quite endemic in Nigeria. It has caused a whole lot of issues. Even out here in the Western world, you'll hear about Nigerian fraud, Nigerian wire fraud, and the rest of them. It's giving the country a very bad image. So it is high time security agencies rose up to cushion the harsh the ugly impact that this is
Now,
giving the
many
country and
many
all that.
people would argue that the EFCC and the ICPC, and alongside other security, financial security agencies, have also been doing a whole lot of work in the country. Now, in just 1 year, a report here says that the EFCC and the ICPC. Now, this is a report by the National Bureau of Statistics that in just 1 year, EFCC and ICPC have recovered 277.69 billion naira and 106 million US dollars. Are these figures encouraging? And do you think there's still more to be done from these agencies, or do you share a different opinion about their operations?
Yeah, there is still more to be done. Something should be done to showcase a deterrence atmosphere. Something should be done to address the root cause of it. It's not just about a clampdown and then putting figures of people that have been arrested and prosecuted. Something should be done to dissuade further occurrence. That is very important. That is quite key. What is the government doing about it? The basic thing is bringing up programs that would stop youth restiveness, youth indulgence. Of course, if you check the age bracket of people that indulge in this, that would point a finger towards certain statistics. That will tell you the demographic implication of what is going on. It is the youths. These are people. It's mostly boys and girls, and somehow girls of school age. And when you ask them, they will tell you they are trying to bring up something to help their families and all that. I know the monies there point towards a kind of serious criminality, people that are part of a bigger criminal enterprise, organized crime, and all that. But then let us address the basic. Let us do something to discourage this. That is what it should be. Bring up programs that would discourage youth participation in such criminality. That's what they do to help themselves. Some will tell you they train themselves in the school and all that. The Nigerian situation has lost grip with the realities of the time. That is the
So so
basic we're
so so
talking
it's
about.
more of the daunting realities of how
Yes.
much of a failed economy we have in the system, in the country. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Of
Absolutely.
these figures of the persons captured or apprehended by the EFCC yesterday, now 148 of these persons are Chinese nationals, and 40 of them are Filipinos, while 604 of them are Nigerians, residing in Lagos. If you sum up 60 and 140 and 148, that's a staggering 188 international, foreign nationals living within the country committing these fraudulent acts of cybercrime and romance scam. Is this in any way going to affect Nigeria's bilateral relations with perhaps China or even the Philippines in any way? Do you think so?
Why would it affect bilateral relations?
And how?
Criminality, criminality is criminality.
Okay. Now, if
It,
it were Nigerians that were found to have been committing these criminal acts in China or in the Philippines, you don't think it would have had some sort of bouncing repercussions on the country itself and not just the
oh
individuals?
yeah, I now get the angle you're going in terms of instead of bilateral relations and all that, is going to how do I put it? It's going to affect a kind of um immigration
Policies.
immigration policies in those countries that are affected. That is the only thing I'm seeing here. But in terms of diplomacy, um, it's only going to cause a kind of a rejig in diplomatic relations and all that. Of course, you saw the mileage the government gained in trying to track down Mr. Simon Ekpa. They said it was after Mr. Tinubu met the Finnish president that they took it so serious and all that. So such approach, such diplomatic pally will definitely take place. The cooperation in terms of judicial cooperation, in terms of bilateral agreements and all that to clamp down on further criminality will definitely come up in the course of time. But in terms of a strained relationship, I don't think that would happen so much. The only thing is that the microcosm aspect of it is that citizens are going to be affected to a very great extent. I give you an instance. When you go to some of these countries, they are going to tighten their nose in terms of immigration laws, especially when it comes to Nigerians. And of course, I remember. I give you an example. What happened in Barbados. I think yeah, when it used to be, is it either Barbados or where or Guyana, one of these Caribbean countries, when a Nigerian was involved in a certain criminality, it used to be a visa-free place for Nigerians. But at a point, they now stopped the visa policy. Such a thing happened over time. And government will not blame the government of the country that starts such stringent measures to cushion criminality coming from Nigeria and all that. You cannot blame them. So such a thing happens. But whether it strains diplomatic relations, I doubt if it does that. Because this is quite like obvious. It's stating the obvious. This is what happens. This is what Nigerians do. And now we are going to take steps to do something to stop further occurrences, to secure our country, to make sure there's a peace in terms of that, to stopping Nigerian kind of criminality. And of course, it has given the country a very bad name. When you hear Nigerian wire fraud, Nigerian criminality, it's just like when they say Islamic terrorism and all that. So
Now,
that's
now,
what
now,
happened.
should Nigeria in any way make stringent measures or take stringent measures in terms of rejigging its immigration policies as well, with regards to
Why,
foreign
why,
nationals from some
why,
of these countries that have been found as part of the huge cybercrime syndicate that was busted in Lagos?
why not? Other countries are doing that against Nigeria. So why can't Nigeria bring up policies that is going to do that? Yeah. If that is what the analysis brings up at the end of the day, if the statistics points towards a persistent occurrence from a certain indicator, that is analysis, then we have to take steps, stringent steps towards that. Other countries do that. If you have seen from certain analysis that citizens of so and so country, this is what they predominantly indulge in our country, we have to take steps. Others are doing it. United States, for instance, do that. A lot of countries are giving you an instance where they say, okay, these people enjoy visa-free right to our country. We need to stop it. Or let us stop it for 2 years and see what's going to happen. Of course, when Ramaphosa came to Nigeria, he kind of liberalized the tourist visa to South Africa.
Yeah.
The indicator shows that the certain criminalities have been relaxed over time. So Nigerians are no longer indulging in so much in South Africa, even though it received a backlash from the citizens. But that still tells you that things are improving over time. But if it points to the fact that things are not improving, it is quite persistent, then we need to had systems be get a hard measure. That's what it should be.
Well,
Bring up
Barrister
something about
Elias,
it.
let's turn our attention to another issue in the news where an investigation by the New Telegraph just recently revealed how Azman Air smuggled an aircraft to Mahan Air, undermining UN sanctions on Iran. Now, it also adds that the crew turned off the transponder to evade detection, and the airline didn't apply for aircraft deregistration for sale, says the NCAA. I want you to hold on to that. Now, this was on the New Telegraph yesterday. This morning, we saw on the front cover of the Daily Independent yet another report that the federal government has petitioned Iran over smuggling of two Azman's aircraft, and Nigeria may incur wrath of West over its deal with Iran. This is a very big issue. As a security expert, what's your perspective on this?
Anyway, Iran has been notorious in the Committee of Nations that fingers are pointed out in terms of terrorism financing and the rest of them. Of course, here in the United States, when you mention Iran, you know what the indicator shows. We know what is going on. The Israeli, Palestinian, and Lebanese impasse. Iran has been greatly fingered. That is the thing that, let me not use the word pariah, that Iran is pariah. That would probably be a bit sectional.
Yeah.
But of course, we know what is going on. It didn't start today. Iranian complicity in that saga tells a whole lot. In terms of diplomacy, of course, you know the role that security experts have narrowed down to Iran in terms of certain conflicts in Nigeria. When you talk of Islamic movement of Nigeria and the rest of them, so it still tells a lot that in Iranian involvement in certain things pertaining Nigeria would smack of certain suspicions and all that. So the hard stance that is taken by federal government, I'm not really surprised about it. Because really deepened investigation in such situation is quite coming on time and all that.
Now,
And of
now,
course, the players,
how
yeah,
does
go
this
ahead.
look for Nigeria, Barrister Elias? How does this look for Nigeria, considering the fact that we have had our own fair share of dealings with terrorism since 2009 or even before 2009? And on the global stage, sometimes Nigeria is attributed with terrorism due to the Boko Haram insurgency. And Iran, you have pointed out all the indices indicating towards pointing towards Iran. If this is, how will this be perceived by the international community that a Nigerian airline is selling off planes to Iran, neglecting or rather uh, not considering US sanctions that have been meted on Iran, that is also having its own fair share of terrorism activities?
Yes, I was going to go that angle actually. Of course, the incoming president of the United States had already said that people countries dealing with other countries on the sanction list are going to be sanctioned too. That is an indicator, like you rightly pointed out, that it doesn't fare well for the country for a very, very delicate, such a delicate economy to be in that
In
grade
that
and
in
all
that
that. Of course,
situation.
it tells a lot. It tells a lot actually. It tells a lot for such a thing to be coming up at this particular time when we need all the bilateral relations in terms of economic revamp. Of course, you see the mileage the president is gaining, going around the world to bridge the gap in terms of economy, trying to woo other countries to
attracting
come
foreign
do
direct
business in
investments
Nigeria.
and the likes.
Whether we categorize it as profligacy and all that, we know the motive behind it. So this is kind of going to draw it back and all that. And of course, and yet, like I said, it still depends on the players involved in this whole thing. Of course, the aviation sector is quite sensitive. It needs further investigation to know exactly what happened and all that. So um, we're not bringing back down the net yet. But the major information here is a lot of things happen in Nigeria. Nigeria is endemic in terms of different shady practices and all that. Let me not sound like the British MP that a lot of everybody is now trying to haul mud at. But the truth of the matter is that we need to come down and go to the drawing board. It doesn't stop at president going around the world, meeting the world leaders, smiling at them, and then looking back to Nigerians and claiming everything is working well and all that. They are going to come to do this and do that. There's something about diplomacy. Yes, the world leaders are going to welcome you. That doesn't make you. That doesn't make
That
you
doesn't
make
make you
you
really
incontinent.
welcome in their midst.
That is the thing there. If you like, carry the whole crew, put your son there, everybody meeting the world leaders and coming and everybody smiling and saying, these are the ministers, we're working and all that. At the end of the day, we look at the scorecard. Other presidents, other leaders have done the same thing. And again, the cost of all such surgeons, the world leaders are going to be looking at you. They are going to look at it. This is profligacy. But nobody will tell you that and all that. So it doesn't stop at going around the world junketing from one country to the other, trying to woo the world leaders to tell them to come down and do that. They have their own analysis. They have their own incentives in trying to move into your country. It's not something that will be achieved in a day. They would look at your efforts towards handling the basic things in the country. Number one is corruption. How are you trying to clamp down on corruption? How are you handling it? The people around you. Endemic corruption starts in government. Number one is careless government spending. Careless government spending. How are you being frugal in terms of spending? How is it happening? These guys have eyes. These guys have some syndicates that tell them, intelligence that tell them how your government is faring. If you come into their country, they welcome you with open arms. Bring your son, they welcome your son. Bring the ministers, they welcome the ministers. They organize a very huge banquet and call their press, and then you inspect the National Guard and all do all that. But time will tell. People will look at it, yes, things are working well and all that. No, it's getting the favor from all the world leaders and all that. But let us not be fooled. We know what happens out there. These guys are going to welcome you with open arms. You spend the whole money, fly a business class, fly in your ministers, fly in your son and the rest of them. It doesn't take away the fact that your country is not functioning well. It doesn't take away the fact that things that should work are not working. That's what it is. We
Barrister,
always do this in the Western world every time. They
well,
smile at you, but they go behind to say these people are not really serious. That's what it is.
all right,
So
Barrister
we need to
Elias.
go down to drawing board. Yes, please.
In just 30 seconds, your final comments. I'm afraid time is fast running out, and we will have to let you go so that we can move on to other issues on the program as well.
Yes, my brother. The comment is that we just need to go back to the drawing board. We need to go do what we're supposed to do. We need to tackle endemic corruption in Nigeria. The basic things are still the basic things. We are still grappling with the basic things. We have not surpassed the basic things and all that. Until we tackle the basic things, number one is tackling corruption in Nigeria. Yes, the British MP must have made an inflationary statement, inflammatory, statement that everybody's attacking. But then the fact remains that we still need to go and look down at that. We need to still do what we have to do. These are basics that we
All
need
right,
to tackle. Yep.
it's about looking inward and finding solutions for us as a
Yes.
country. I must thank you so much, Barrister Elias Offor, joining us from Arizona. It's wonderful to have you on Morning Express this morning, talking about this pertinent issues in the news.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank